Hello and welcome back to Poliver, a BMX podcast with Chris Doyle. This is my interview with Jay Rowe. To a lot of people, this interview doesn't come as a surprise because, as a lot of you know, Jay and I have traveled a lot together in the last 10 years. Jay is a very interesting character, and I really love Jay's backstory as to what he was into prior to him getting into BMX and before BMX completely took over his life. So I really enjoyed this interview. I had a lot of fun with it, and I hope you enjoy it too. This is Jay Rowe. Welcome back. This is my interview with Jay Rowe. Jay is a really good friend of mine, and that's really weird to say because I met you like in my mid-20s, and when you talk about your really good friends, it's someone that you've known since childhood, and I think you kind of came in late in my life,
yeah.
But ever since I've met you, it's been very memorable. And I've always loved your story. I've loved traveling with you and like listening to your tales. And some of the stuff that you told me just seems so crazy and not even possible. But it's just the story of Jay.
I'm flattered to hear that.
Yeah, I would come home from trips sometimes and I'd be like, you gotta meet this guy, Jay.
It's like that? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. I'm stoked to be here to chat, chilling.
Yeah, thank you so much for agreeing.
Of course.
You seemed pretty apprehensive about sitting down and sharing your story.
Think so?
You didn't seem as like stoked. You're like, yeah, I guess I'll do it. But that's you, right? Like,
I'm stoked.
Okay. Well, you're the second guy from upstate New York that I've interviewed. The first being Steve Budendek.
Yes, one of my BMX industry idols.
He's a great idol to have. I mean,
he's been behind the scenes forever, pulling strings, puppet master, but no one, you don't know unless you know.
Yeah, unsung hero. He's done it all.
I respect a lot what Budendek's done, and still he continues to do it really. But
if you want to know more about Steve Budendek, just go back and find the Poliver podcast with Steve Budendek. It's
very informative.
Yeah, it's great. It's great stuff. He's currently the front runner, the leader of downloads as far as my listeners go.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So let's see if you can beat it.
I can hope I can get to half that.
So Steve's best friend, Hal Brindley, is from Penfield, New York.
This is information I just recently found out due to the podcast.
I love that we keep plugging. So Hal Brindley was a huge influence on me as well, in that like he started 2B Clothing and then Play Clothing, and they lived in North Carolina for a while. So you're also from Penfield, New York.
It's very, very strange to think about now.
But is it just like, do inspirational people?
It already blew my mind that Zach Phillips, the owner of Kink and Black Oak Distribution, is from Fairport, which is the town right next to where I grew up. Greg Walsh of Primo BMX fame, and then go on to Hell on Earth Coalition. He's from Fairport, the town right next to me. There was these guys that were, super huge in the industry and the scene, even from the early days on to in the early 2000s when I started riding. And they literally grew up like around my area, my neighborhood. I was just like, it's crazy to me. The more I learned about Rochester BMX, I'm still learning about Rochester, the history of Rochester and upstate New York BMX, and how much it's like influenced the industry as a whole.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. What is... I mean, I've been to Penfield, but tell the listeners or the viewers, I'd say now since we're filming this, and a big thanks to Chad Osborne and Daryl Taco for setting up these cameras. And
always dependable.
Yeah, great guys. Talk a little bit about life in Penfield, New York, right outside of Rochester.
It's just I don't know, middle class, like normal, kind of like northeast city.
Very suburban.
Very suburban. There's an unfortunate opioid, heroin addiction issue going on right now in the area, which is very strange because it's a nice place to grow up. People, upper middle class, upper class type of people living around there. It's like a good, nice place, but it's just normal.
That's really crazy because I've been there a few times now, and it doesn't seem like the type of place that
you would never
have
guess
a drug
it,
problem.
But
wow.
It's going on all over the place in the town, in my neighborhood, and the neighborhoods. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Wow,
it's very crazy. People we were growing up with, people who graduated from school, dying, losing limbs, getting busted. It's very strange, just happening in like such a normal place.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it was a good thing that you got out of there.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, there's a couple of guys that I originally started riding back with when I was in like 8th grade. You know, they're some of the worst off.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's pretty
Dude,
tough.
I didn't know that. That sucks.
Yeah, so I go back, and honestly, we're just back home now, and I was with a couple of the guys like from the team, and went into like a local bar, and there was some guys from my high school there, and it was almost like embarrassing. It was like embarrassing a little bit, just because they some of the guys just some of them have some issues that I can't believe. You know, we did the same thing growing up, and one of us took that path, and the other one took that path, and
Yeah. Wow, that's insane.
yeah.
That's terrible. I'm sorry to.
No. But besides that, Penfield is amazing. Penfield's an awesome town. It's just it's a nice little place outside, just outside of Rochester, New York. But yeah, I mean, it's a great place to grow up for sure.
Grow up and then move on a little bit.
Move on.
Yeah.
See what else is out there.
One of my favorite things that I learned about you early in our travels was I'm a huge hockey fan, and I was talking to you about hockey one day, and you were like, "Yeah, I was a super good hockey player." And I'm like looking at you, and you're like skinny and gangly, and I'm like, "No, you weren't." Like, because hockey players are big guys, and you're like, "Yeah, I was like one of the best hockey players and lacrosse players in my school. I played with," and you mentioned all these names of guys that went on to the NHL that you were playing with, the guys that went on to like prep school and had successful like college careers or careers in the NHL. And I didn't really believe you. And then I started to meet more of your friends that grew up with you.
Right, coming into
And I'm
Rochester
like,
and stuff.
was Jay actually a good hockey player? And they're like, "Oh my God, he was like the ruler of our high school."
Now it's grown into this big myth that I was the.
Well, I love it,
But-
like, because everyone had to take some sort of. Everyone's lives were going in a different direction until we find BMX.
Right.
Like, we're all like,
Totally.
people are either like going to go to college or they're going to join the workforce. And it sounded to me like you had a good, promising lead on going to like either college or maybe going on to play pro in either lacrosse or hockey. And I'm saying this again in that, like, I talked to your dad one time at a contest, and I was like, "So is Jay, was he as good as they say at hockey and lacrosse?" I had to get it straight from the source. And I'm talking with your dad, and I just watch his whole face change. And he goes, "Chris, he could have gone anywhere."
I'm in the background, like eating shit on my bike. Or
Yeah, he could have done anything. So fill me in a little bit about that, about your hockey prowess.
Honestly, when I started playing hockey, I learned how to ride a bike when I was 3 years old, and I learned how to like skate and play hockey when I was like 3 or 4 years old. And I just got super serious. I was good at it at a young age, and my parents were super supportive with whatever I was into, and I enjoyed playing hockey. And for whatever reason, I was just a kid, but it just kind of snowballed and became really like serious. I was playing all year round, playing for different teams in the county and all-star teams, compiled of kids from like all over the state, traveling every weekend as like a 10-year-old. It was like not serious, but it was pretty serious stuff, I guess. A lot of the guys kids that I was playing with at the time, from probably like 8 to 10 years old all the way up to 16, 17, went on to play, in the NHL, AHL, IHL, play overseas. It was something that I guess people take seriously at a young age out there.
Well, Rochester, upstate New York in general, is like, that's a hockey market.
Yeah, a lot of people play hockey. It's pretty serious. A lot of families are really into hockey. The whole family will be into it, and they've been, circling through the family for decades at this point in Rochester. So it's definitely like a hockey city, or at least it was when I was growing up.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of successful NHLers that came out of Rochester.
Rochester, Buffalo, Buffalo actually a lot.
The Giantas.
Callahans, and Kane is from Buffalo.
Yeah.
There's all kinds. There's a lot of dudes actually. For one reason or another, I don't know if just because the weather sucks so bad and this hockey rink, there's more access to hockey rinks and stuff, but. There's a lot of hockey going on. So it was super serious. It was like, I was never super serious like kid and super competitive and anything like that, but I was just kind of good at it and enjoyed playing it. And year after year went by and kind of grew as far as to like what teams I was able to play on and where we were able to go. I was able to miss a lot of school, go play for tournaments, play things all weekend. My parents, were super supportive. We were in hotels and driving long distance every weekend for tournaments.
Dude, it's an expensive sport.
It really is, yeah. And my dad's just a regular union worker that works his ass off. My mom's a nurse, and they really allowed for me to have this kind of like pretty unique childhood athletic experience.
Yeah.
I got to travel a lot and see like a lot of like a small part of the country and a bit of Canada as well at a very young age.
Yeah.
So that was super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're in high school, you're like the star of the high school. I've talked to a few of your friends and they're like, yeah, he was like the man in our high school.
The thing with high school is that I played for the varsity hockey team as an 8th grader in middle school. So that was kind of a big deal. If you were cared about sports at all, whatever, you might have known about it. And I would get to go to high school I would leave middle school a little bit early, go to high school, practice with the team, and kind of be in like this weird little like different scene as a young kid. So that was kind of cool experience for sure. But it was super serious, and especially for like a young kid that I wasn't even in high school yet, and I'm dealing with like seniors in high school. So it was a pretty interesting experience. But yeah, that was when it was like make or break time. I had to decide like was this something that I was taking super serious for real, or other things were going to take over interest wise.
So you were like a junior in high school, and had you gotten into riding? At what age were you like starting to ride BMX more?
I still really got into riding I was like a 8th grade freshman in high school, so that was be like 14 or 15 or whatever.
Okay.
But then 15, 16 was when I really started to have like a passion for it and understand what was happening, what the culture was all about, and looking in magazines and getting into it. I was super into it, super stoked. At this point, I didn't know that Kink was out of Rochester, but I was a fan of Kink already. And I just was getting super, super into BMX riding while playing sports and stuff like any other kid. I finally, my parents got me a bike, and then that bike went to shit. I got a Kink for the first time. Whatever. So it was about that time when I started to get serious. I started to get serious about BMX, but was also getting serious about what I'm doing with my sports career / education.
Yeah.
And they obviously didn't mesh very well.
Yeah, those are two different paths.
It's two very different paths. And ultimately I was very tired of the one path.
It sounds like you had done it your entire life.
I'd done it for so long. I had coaches and trainer type people, and not pressure really, but pressure to an extent from parents and people like that. But yeah, I was just over it really. I was burnt out. I'd played it for so long and dedicated so much time to it, and I did have some opportunities to continue and play in colleges and with potential scholarships. I played lacrosse as well. I was athletic for what I didn't really try to be athletic. I didn't eat well. I didn't work out and stuff like that. But I just kind of was able to play these sports that I was into well enough to get by somehow. But when it came down to it, I was just burnt out. And BMX offered obviously the same story that you hear is a completely different outlet that just took me way farther than I pictured, playing hockey would, or something like that,
Yeah, and you mentioned having all those coaches and all that pressure. BMX, it's a lot more freedom to do the thing that you love. You don't really need. Yeah,
I've been yelled at and seen grown men cry more than any kid should have by the time he's 15. Just these. It's just a lot sometimes it was a lot to handle for playing a sport with no real reward besides the coach's big stoked or whatever, your record at the end of the year. But yeah, it was time to I was done being told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, type of deal.
You told me the story once about your very last hockey game. You're a junior in high school, It's like overtime, or no, it wasn't overtime. Like
This third period was winding down.
yeah, the game's on your shoulders.
It was like some Anaheim. It was like some Mighty Duck shit.
Yeah, you shoot the puck from like between the circles, right?
Yeah.
And it hits the top bar and just shoots straight up into the sky.
Yeah, just just above, just in the center, like between the two circles, just ripped like a snapshot off the crossbar and bing, boom, all the way up, back down. That was that.
Game's over.
Didn't make sectionals. Season's over.
And that was
not knowing that was going to be the end of my hockey career.
Right.
That was the end of my hockey career.
Wow.
I kind of had an idea it might be, but
at this point you said BMX was leaking in.
it was leaking in. But I everything that I was in my town and to my family and my friends was like this hockey and lacrosse player.
Right.
That was like he dressed kind of, he wore like black t-shirts a bunch and like rode a BMX bike around and had skater shoes on, but he was a hockey player.
Right.
It was around that time that I felt I totally didn't identify with that at all anymore.
And that's like, and then BMX is like,
that's
what you identify with. That's what you're going for. Now, was anyone disappointed when, like, so you were a junior when that went down, and then you're a senior and you're not playing these sports anymore? Were like people like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, the coaches were obviously, I don't know if they were shocked, because I think some of them like saw it coming, because my interest levels was obviously like waning, but everyone thought I was into drugs or was doing something bad, because why would he just stop doing something that's so positive that he's good at and blah, blah, blah. That was hard for a lot of people to understand. I don't think so much my parents, but other people, like coaches and, random kids at high school that cared for some reason.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. It was it was a funny transition, because I never would have imagined that transition at the time. But it was almost like making a weird like leap as a kid without even understanding that's what I was really doing.
Yeah. So I'm looking at my notes here. When you were starting to become obsessed with riding, were you like, did you think to yourself like, I want to be pro, or were you like, I just want to be involved? And you find out that Kink is from Rochester eventually.
Right, that was a huge mind blower. For some reason, I had missed it. Like for the first couple issues of Ride, like the back covers, Kink's always had the back cover ad, and just never. I didn't realize it, and when I realized it, I was like, whoa! Like this is here. This is happening here where I am. It just felt insane. I had my dad, drive me down to where the warehouse was. I went and looked at the front door, had all the stickers on it. I was just, for one reason or another, I just thought it was so cool. It was just these shitty stickers in this grimy ass door in this shitty hallway in downtown Rochester in this crappy building. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Wow.
It was very, just immediately it was like, I need to be a part of this some way, somehow. And like, of course I wanted to be a pro bike rider when I was a kid, but more than that, like I think the thing that really got me, my like brain turning into all this, was watching the Mira Super Tours on like ESPN.
Okay.
They get in the bus, he had some baller ass bus, and they start driving around and hit a skate park and blah, blah, blah. Mira Super Tour was like, just, it was like sick back in the day.
Yeah.
And I was just like immediately like, why? How are these guys doing this during the day? Like, why aren't they at work or at school? Or like, how is this possible to do that like that many days in a row? Or like, just I had so many questions. So I was immediately immersed into like, how does this all work? This is insane. Like these guys are just like riding bikes all day, traveling around and doing whatever they want to do. So I immediately just had like an interest in the behind the scenes, like right off the bat. And that was being pro bike rider, how these brands worked, where they were from, why, who the owners were, what they did before that. It was all just like fascinating.
So you just wanted to be involved somehow.
Just wanted to be involved. I thought it was so awesome. I really did. I don't know why, or it just grabbed me.
I don't know. Who knows why BMX grabs a hold of any of us?
Yeah.
Right? It takes like a special person, I think.
Kink had such a cool like image at the time. I mean, this was like 2001-ish. So Kink's image was like the black and red, super raw look, better living through industrialization. It's just badass. It was like kind of punk rock feel. For me as a kid, was like, this is, no one from high school knows about Kink BMX, so it was like super alternative.
Yeah, you thought you were in on some like.
Yeah, I still do think I'm in on some shit that like people don't like. Yo, you don't know about this yet? Are you crazy?
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a good way of saying it. My next note was desperately wanting to work for Kink.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to. I was just any way possible to get in those doors. These doors, these stick out. They're just covered in stickers. It just looked like this like clubhouse, this old grimy warehouse where they used to be.
Well, yeah. Well, not to skip too far ahead, but when I showed up for the first time,
you saw that.
You opened that door for me.
I was behind the door.
Dude.
It was the only place I wanted to be. I didn't care what I was doing back there.
It's like a metaphor for something.
And at the time, I was just packing boxes when I opened that door for you. But I mean, I was doing a little bit of both.
You hadn't been bumped up to team manager status?
When I got the job, Kink was so kind of low-key at the time.
Well, yeah, let's not go too far ahead, but like, what was your in?
My in was, my buddy Matt Antis, who's now the brand manager. He was working in the warehouse at the time. And another guy named Sam White, who used to work there back in the day. It was just evident. Everyone in Rochester and my friends and in the scene in our age knew that I was already like breathing this stuff. I used to leave school early and go help fold t-shirts when orders would come in for free. Zach would come to the skate park and I'd be like, hey man, you guys like, let me come in, do whatever you need me to do. I'm there. I did like a little internship, little job shadow there when I was in high school and like talked to the guys in the warehouse. I was like, yeah, I have a Haro, but I hope to get a Kink soon. I was just that kid.
Kind of like a little Grom.
Total little Grom kid that had no idea what was going on. Like how everyone, everyone knows what that's like, that rides. But I happened to just be in this place under the shadow of like Kink that happened. I was so lucky to be from Rochester, fucking New York.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I really was. Like, I don't even know what it's crazy to think about.
Well, I haven't really mentioned like that you're pretty damn good bike rider as well.
I don't know, but hey.
I don't want to just talk about your hockey and.
I don't know, I sound like this like amazing, like athletic.
Well, but the scene in Rochester was really cool. I always liked. The only guy I knew from Rochester back then was Tony Hamlin, who's not even from Rochester. Really, it's pretty far outside Hamlin.
Right, but he's a Rochester local.
Rochester guy, and then like Tom Dillon and the Twins.
Steve DeBusk. He was born in Rochester, moved to Ohio, but grew up in Rochester.
Okay, yeah, like you guys' scene seemed pretty raw.
It was pretty raw, but it was dope.
Yeah,
we were heavy skate park kids at the time. Like the indoor skate park scene was popping around that time. We had this place called Extremes in Rochester. It was an amazing skate park, and we were just really lucky to have Kink there, the skate park, and just like we had a really good scene going for a long time.
And there was a lot of people coming through.
There's a lot of people coming through. There's a lot of like hubbub, excitement. FBM was only a couple hours away as well. They would come down to the skate park a bunch. Tony got on FBM at one point eventually, and it was just a lot going on around that time for such a weird pocket of the country, especially a weird part of New York. Mm-hmm. There was lots happening. There's lots of riders coming out of there. There's like industry guys coming out of there. There was brands. Kink was there, and Coalition was based out of there at one point, and Sunday was based out of Buffalo for a little bit. Yeah, it's just weird. But we were lucky to be able to be in this spot with these brands out here, the skate parks, and it was fun. It was a super fun scene to grow up in.
That's cool.
Especially if people know about the Twins, if you know Jesse or Alan Twin.
We were making some Twins comparisons today at Swamp Fest. We were talking about the Twins. And we were saying how like Brian the Bastard could be like the third twin. He's like cut from the same cloth there. That's a lot funnier if you know A, who the Twins are, B, who Brian the Bastard is.
But, I hope you do.
But you didn't just go like straight from high school to Kink. You did try going to college.
I tried it. I didn't because I didn't have this guaranteed job at Kink. But as I was deciding what to do after I did stop playing the sports, and kind of just become like this rider kid that was traveling around with his friends when he wasn't in school. I decided to go to college.
Well, yeah, you once told me that you were going to school to be a stenographer.
Well, that was after
going for like.
State.
I thought you went for like air traffic control.
Air traffic control.
You were going to be an air traffic controller.
Yeah. That's right.
And why would you pick these two professions? Because those are two
very different. At the time, I was like traveling. I was a kid, you know, I was 18. I hadn't really gone that many places yet, especially by plane. And I was like, airports are so sick. Like, I want to just be in around airports so I could like, I had this thing that was airports were cool. And I was like, air traffic controller would be like sick. Looked into it, like they make a bunch of money. They're stressed out all the time, but like, fuck it. And yeah, I was like, let's do it. I was like winging it. You know, I was like, I didn't have my job at Kink yet. I was like waiting because I was like, I'm going to get in there somehow.
Right.
So I was just waiting. So I was like, I guess I don't want to work. I'm going to go to like college, I guess, until, you know, figure this out. I only made it 4 weeks, obviously. I decided to go to Kent State under their aeronautical program.
Wow.
But I got accepted to Purdue University as well.
Oh, sure.
I wasn't a particularly good student in high school, but apparently I was good enough. But yeah, it was an attempt at like, I don't know what. It's not like my parents put a ton of pressure on me or anything.
Right.
But my dad, you know, saved up, you know, helped me like go to school if I wanted to, but this wasn't for me.
Right.
So yeah, I go back home pretty much waiting for like someone to like get fired or something from the warehouse, because I kind of was like, they gotta put me in their next, like they know I'm the guy. And it just happened eventually after like a year or so.
You get the call that you're gonna.
Yeah, I came home from college and was just working shitty jobs. I decided I'm gonna move to Philadelphia and enroll in stenography school because I can type really fast, and like, and I'm gonna just like try to work this out. I was like, Philly's dope. I can go to the school here by Rittenhouse and just try to ride. And then yeah, I got the gig. Like, I was signed up. I took a tour of this fucking stenography school in Philly too, and yeah, I had this little apartment picked out with some friends out there, and was like. Got the call from like my buddy Matt and Sam who were there. Like, you're up. You want the warehouse job? We're gonna like give you the warehouse job, and you know we're gonna try to like do some stuff with Kink. You can be like the TM guy, because they knew that I was like super BMX nerd kid. Like, just knew everything, knew everyone's name, knew everyone's shit. Just was super into it.
Yeah.
You know, I liked all the details and information about everyone and where they lived and what they're doing and trips and stuff like that.
Yeah, I noticed that real quick when we first got to know each other. It's like, wow, he's like an encyclopedia.
Yeah, I just like love it. Like some guys, you know, like, oh, I don't know who that guy is, or I don't care who that guy is. I'm like, how do you not know this? This is so dope, all this stuff to know. But
there's a point where like it's almost lame if you're keeping up with everything.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you have time to watch all these web videos?
Yeah.
It's like, I remember Daryl telling me years ago, he's like, man, Jay watches every video. He knows who every dude is. Like, but that's what you need when you're a team manager. And
well, for sure, yeah, that's the thing, you know, you got to be into it, you got to want it.
Yeah, and you got to, I mean, eventually you do become the team manager. You get upgraded from...
yeah, so I'm working in the warehouse, packed boxes for like a year or two, just like running the warehouse. Blackout Distribution was putting out like a lot of stuff at the time. And yeah, just a warehouse guy, would like update the Kink website. It was just like a blog. There wasn't like social networking yet. We might have had a Kink MySpace. And it just snowballed. Like year after year, things grew. And you know, I had enough opportunity to basically move out of the warehouse and just focus on Kink stuff, building a new team, doing trips. I started planning all the marketing for it. We started with like Mega Tour 6. It was like a huge trip for everybody. It was kind of like the start of like the new Kink that was kind of like handed over to us.
Yeah.
After like a period of time.
Handed over to a 19-year-old kid?
Yeah, I mean, my Matt Antis, who's a year older than me, who also a Rochester local, he was already starting to do like dabble in product design. He's a really smart guy, and started dabbling in product design and taking over more responsibilities like of the brand. And yeah, I started took over basically, at the time I guess it would just be marketing for the brand. I was doing a little bit of social networking at the time that there was to be done, but a lot of it was traveling. We traveled with the team nonstop. We were, you know, all over the place.
Well, yeah, those first few years that I got in Kink, and this is kind of like this is when our stories will start to run kind of parallel to one another. It was like nonstop. It was like,
yeah,
we were. I feel like for a long time there, we were like the first team that was constantly on the road.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you asked, did I have aspirations to be like pro or whatever? But it's like, I had aspirations to travel around and drive around with my friends and ride bikes. Like, of course I wanted to be pro. Like I still would like someone to like ask me to be on their pro team. That'd be dope. But like it just, I was more fascinated with the fact that like we could spend our days doing this somehow. I've seen it. I've seen other people do it somehow.
Right.
And when I got this opportunity with Kink to be the team manager and blah blah blah, I start getting budgets. And I get a card, and I get keys to a van or to a car, and I get, a bank account, and it's like, all right, I know, you know what to do. Here's a budget to do it. Like, and it was like, at 19 years old, planning Mega Tour 6, I was like, that was my like dream, my dream come true. Like, someone was like, here's money to do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, you're living.
Like, I know what you want to do is what's good for Kink, so go do it with these guys.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you could see I think a lot of that is Zach putting a lot of trust in both
completely,
you and Matt. Like, that's big to put his company in the hands of like two kids.
Yeah, I don't know whether he saw something in us or he was like, crossed his fingers or just naive or what, but...
Well, he doesn't seem the type to just throw caution to the wind.
Right, so yeah, I don't know. But I was young. Yeah, I mean, he said, I did Mega Tour 6, I was 19. You were 24, 25?
I was 26.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I was just talking about this to someone the other day. On that trip, I was like talking to people like, dude, it's so sick that Doyle's out here.
Still doing
26, still doing it, dude. Like,
seems
he's still
so young.
out here at 25. Like, I hope I'm still running at 25. It's like, now I'm 32, like, just saying the same story.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. It's trippy. But yeah, Zach was fully trusted me and Matt, and over time, let the leash go out further and further until he was able to basically step back a bit and focus more on his business as a whole. He owns Blackout Distribution as well. So
yeah.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts. And over a period of time, from 2006 to now, the brand has been ran by myself, and Matt Antis is now the brand manager, pretty much the guy that runs the whole show behind the scenes.
Yeah,
and obviously we have art director and stuff like that.
It's grown so much.
Yeah, I mean there were four employees in 2006.
It's so funny you talked about that door, because that door is still like when I got on Kink, I remember you opening the door, and there's this little scrawny J Rowe, no tattoos. I was like, hey, I was like, oh my god, I had met you before in Florida, and I was like, wow, this is the kid that's I'm gonna be talking to.
Like 18, 19.
I think at one point Zach was like, hey, like I was calling Zach to get product, and you're like, hey, just talk to Jay. Jay will sort you out. I'm like, oh, I gotta talk to that kid? I'm a grown man. I'm 26.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And I had no idea what I was doing either.
But after that, it seemed like we were all in like a new place. All of a sudden, it's like the new team is in a new place. Where are we gonna go? And it was just like you were quite literally driving the ship. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna hit the road. And we're gonna do this. We're gonna film these video parts.
I got the opportunity to live out my dream to a sort of like here's this, like go. Do cool stuff with it and make us look cool, whatever.
Did you feel like super badass when you had the Ender in that the Mega Tour 6?
I did feel badass. Yeah,
video.
It was good. People, that's like this is my 15 minutes of fame.
You guys were just in Chapel Hill. Is that still there?
No. Remember, it's not there. Remember, you wanted to go back in 180 that.
I think we got our timelines mixed up because the last time I was there, it was still there. I haven't been back in a long time, but
I don't think it is.
Okay.
We rode a spot actually that Daryl's like, I think this is actually where that spot was.
Okay, they tore down that whole building right across the street.
Everything they built is skate stop now, but there's still some stuff to ride. But
yeah,
nice campus, UNC Chapel Hill.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I don't want to like skip over anything too important, but we could start to talk a little bit more about like fun things. We can talk about your diet. We can talk about the blanket. We could go in a variety of different directions. But it's these little quirks that I always found like really amusing about you that I always like thought were really funny. Like we'd be driving somewhere in the country and you always had your backpack, to your right or your left. Right. And you would just like reach in the backpack and kind of fumble around a little bit and then you put your hand back on the steering wheel. Then like, I don't know, a couple of minutes would pass by. You put your hand back in the backpack, pull it out, and keep driving. And I remember at one point, I'm like, what are you doing? And you're like, oh, dude, I'm just touching my blanket.
This is the intro to the blanket.
And I'm like, what? You're like, yeah, I have this blanket. I have to touch it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then like later on in the trip, I noticed like you bring in the blanket to bed with you and you're like putting it on your face and you're constantly smelling it. And I'm like, dude, what's the story with this blanket? And you're like, dude, the day I was born, I was put into this blanket. And it's been with me every day since. I hope you don't mind me telling this story.
I mean, it's out there. I mean, if anyone knows, if you know me at all, you probably know that already.
This is getting to know you.
Right. It was in some props issues.
But yeah.
But no, I'm not. I mean, I'm not ashamed of it at all. But I was born into this blanket. And fuck, it hasn't left my side since for some reason or another.
If this is too embarrassing, then we can always edit it out.
No, I mean, it is what it is.
Okay.
I just have this like fucking, I don't know what it is.
I remember telling my wife about that, and she's like, oh, it's like a security blanket, like a literal security blanket. Like he feels secure when he has it. I was like, yeah, it's true.
It's just always there. It's always in my bag.
And I'd ask you like, so what happens if you don't have the blanket? And you were like, I don't know.
Never happened.
It's never happened before. And I'm like, really? And I think me and some of the other guys are like, well, we should try and hide it. And
right.
So everyone would be like, dude, no, you just don't mess with the blanket.
I've spent lots of times with some crazy people, some animals, and no one.
Some animals.
No one's fucked with my blanket.
There's some lines you don't cross.
Don't do that.
And another thing I always thought was like really interesting about you is, and a lot of people can attest to this, but your diet was so insane.
The diet thing was weird. It's really annoying for everyone to like harp on it for so long because I felt fine.
It seemed like a lot of people had a harder time with it than you did.
Right.
We went out to TGI Fridays one day.
People were very concerned about me.
People were concerned about your health, and you were very skinny for a while there.
Good days.
Good days. But I remember we went to we were riding trails in Southern California all day long. Lonnie Paxton's trails. Shout out to Lonnie.
Good times.
Well, they were Heath Pinter's trails, but they're at Lonnie Paxton's house. We rode the trails all day. And we're going home, we're going back. We all stop at TGI Fridays. Everyone orders something to eat. We're all starving. We all get like normal meals. And you order a hot fudge sundae. And I remember, like, we were all used to you at this point, but I remember Heath looking down and he's like, the motherfucker just ordered a hot fudge sundae.
What's up with this guy?
Like, this is dinner. We were riding all day in the hot sun, like, you're dehydrated.
It's obviously weird.
It was weird.
Right.
And
it's just a young buck to whatever I wanted.
Yeah. But that's just one of the like random quirks that I wanted to point out that
it was just bad. I just don't eat fruit and vegetables and drink a ton of soda and just eat pizza. It's just bad.
But you're on a much better diet now.
For sure.
I don't even notice anymore like if you're
now I could blend in with a normal person.
Okay.
For sure. Tony almost got me on Freaky Eaters when we were living out in Long Beach. I had an interview with...
What is that, a show?
Yeah, Freaky Eaters was like a TLC show where they followed people around that like ate couch cushions and shit like that. Yeah, I went in for an interview, like a screening.
I'd never known that.
Tony like submitted my info unknowingly to me. And then they were like, yeah, come in for an interview. And they tried to craft me a little story about how I like could only like eat bread. Like just bread.
Yeah.
But I didn't get a call back.
Yeah, bummer. There's a lot more freaky things out there that people are eating.
Yeah, there were some people with some big issues.
Yeah.
Big time.
There was some show I watched where like this woman was obsessed with Lysol. And she would have like 10 bottles of Lysol and like just fill up her tub and just breathe in like all this like lemon pine.
Yeah, see,
Lysol.
I'm just like indulging in chocolate.
Yeah, see,
I'll be all right.
Nothing wrong with that.
But now, like I said, I can blend in now.
So, if people can't gather this by watching or listening to our thing, like you might be the most mellow guy that I've ever met. And like, there's a phrase like people are like, man, that dude doesn't give a fuck. I've always thought like, no, that dude gives a fuck. J. Rowe doesn't give a fuck. Like, I've never seen you like stress out or like.
I keep it mellow on the outside.
Dude,
I give a fuck. I'll put that out there though.
Okay,
I give a fuck big time.
I didn't mean to like assign you with that title, but
But I know what you're putting. I feel what you're putting down.
Yeah, like I've never seen you like stress out, freak out, or anything like that. I've seen smoke pouring into the van that we're driving in while we're going uphill, and you just got your head back. You're like, yeah, whatever, no big deal.
Yeah, for one reason or another, I'd like to think that I don't have like a short fuse, but sometimes I do. I don't know, it depends. Maybe you talk to like an ex-girlfriend, she might tell you a different story. But
I saw you freak out when we were in Nashville and those skaters were getting in our faces.
Yeah, we had a little altercation.
And yeah, Team Rochester was
had to get a little puffed up.
You and Tony, I was like, oh, dude, Rochester just stood up. Like the dude picked up his board and he was going to swing it at, I think, Tony. And you got in the guy's face and you go, hit me with your fucking board. Fucking hit me. Hit me. And I was like, whoa, dude, Jay's crazy.
Just trying to impress the road full squad.
Dude, everyone was like, damn, Team Rochester. Because you and Tony were like so in the mix.
Yeah.
I think Tony actually set the whole thing off.
Yeah, and Tony probably had his bike like ready to go.
Yeah.
Sprocket out.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And like everyone else had kind of backed off. Even the skaters were like, oh, hey, dude, we were just talking shit. We were just joking. I was like, damn, Rochester just...
Yeah, I had some friends that were pretty volatile. I don't know if I'm using the right word, but they would get set off pretty quick. Right. But no, I like to, especially when we're doing like you see me in like a lot and mostly like BMX aspect of life and chilling, not riding. But what we're doing is so ridiculous. It's hard, and I've spent so much time with people that I felt certain people on different trips and from different places where I feel like they don't understand that some people don't appreciate what we're doing and how like ridiculous it really is.
Yeah.
Because I think for one reason I spent so much time thinking about how crazy it would be when I'm older to have to like work and do all this stuff. Even when I was this kid in high school, thinking about the future was hard to like put it together. And the fact that we're out doing what we're doing and like delaying that is just like a reason enough to just keep it mellow and just enjoy like the dumbest stuff that's happening, not stress, not get pissed. Obviously that's easier said than done sometimes, but with certain situations that happen, whether there's smoke pouring into the van or whatever it is, I like to just keep the positive vibes up. I'm not like this super positive guy though, so I don't know. It's weird. It's not that I don't care, but we'll figure it out. It'll work out.
That was a much better answer than I expected.
Really?
Yeah, I thought you were...
It wasn't confusing. I was not like talking in circles.
No, it makes sense.
We're not gonna die tonight about this, whatever it is.
Well, I was in the back of the van and I was watching the movie Garden State, and there's the
great movie.
There's the beginning of the movie when Zach Braff's character is on a plane and the plane is clearly going down and everyone around him is just freaking out. And you just see him, he's got this mellow look on his face. And he's just like, and he goes and he adjusts the air conditioning on his, for his seat. And I remember Daryl looking over my shoulder, he goes, that's Jay. I was like, that is Jay right there. You even kind of look like him.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
So, but now anytime I hear that movie, I think like of that scene, and I think, oh, that's Jay right there.
Oh, it's true.
But yeah, we'll get off some of your quirks. And
I guess I hear I'm a quirky guy. I feel like I'm a normal guy.
But it's that type of thing that makes you interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's why I was super excited to sit down with you, even though I've known you for over a decade now.
Right.
I was once. You were gonna have a write-up in Ride UK, I think, and Walter wanted me to write the intro, so I jotted down all this like quirky stuff that I had learned about you over the years. And I think I actually wrote out this I don't know, 3-paragraph intro, and it never got used.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So maybe...
Come on, Walter.
What's that?
Come on, Walter. Let's get that.
I think he just went in another direction.
Yeah.
I think Walter was so amused by all your quirks too. He's like, no, I'm going to write it, actually.
It's interesting. Like, I got in with Kink so young that I really, especially with you, people like Kink Team, saw me go from like a teenager to, early 20s to mid 20s, like saw my whole growing up process from graduating high school, basically just a year or two out of high school.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting to see like the ups and downs of that, but just keep it mellow.
Yeah. Maybe we should get back on a little bit where we were going.
Yeah.
So, and again, I don't want to skip over anything that you think is important to talk about, but I was just going to talk about some of your team manager responsibilities currently, like planning trips on limited budgets, adding riders, subtracting riders, quote unquote babysitting when you have to babysit, and like taking care of, like taking kids on the road sometimes, and you know, kids want to get into mischief, and you gotta kind of keep them tame. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really lucky to have the job that I have. You know, a lot of people might think it's more or less, you know, taking orders and sending out product to people and planning a road trip, and but it's got multiple levels, like you said, whether you're babysitting some kids or being somebody's therapist, or you know, planning, you know, accommodations, travel, whatever it needs to be done for the trip, all the way down to how you're going to market the trip, how you're going to market the guys on the trip, picking the team, all that stuff. So there's all kinds of stuff that goes into it, but it's fun, you know, more than anything. At the end of the day, it's about like getting to ride BMX with the homies,
right? Especially
people that you know like to ride with. And you're stoked to watch ride.
How important is it for a rider that you want to put on the team? How important is it for that person not only to be a good bike rider, but to like have a good personality and can mesh well with the rest of the team, and you know, be in a van for 10 hours a day?
I mean, it's super important. Very, especially for us as a brand, we spend a lot of time traveling together, crammed in the van or wherever, in new countries and stuff like that. Places where you want to be with a group of people that you can rely on and trust and count on.
Yeah.
So it's super important, along with being a good bike rider, which, you know, everyone is.
Everyone's good.
A lot of kids have a lot to bring to the table when it comes to bike riding.
Well, I remember there was. I was getting hit up by other pros were taking notice of what we were doing, and we were traveling a lot. And I'd have other pros, quote unquote, colleagues of mine, like, hey, can you talk to Kink for me? And I liked these guys, and I'm not going to name any names, but I was like, there's no way that you could get in a van with us and mesh with everybody. That happened to me like at least 5 or 6 times where other pros were like, hey, can you talk to so-and-so? And yeah, of course I'll talk to him. I'll see what I can do. But I never would, because I might have mentioned some names to you and you're like, yeah, right. They can't come on a trip with us. Like,
it's crazy hearing about certain guys in teams or trips or whatever, where they're not excited to go on the trip. Like, yeah, I gotta go on this trip. Like, this guy, you know, these guys didn't be like, it's like they're not going to hang out with their friends. They're like, have to go do something they wouldn't be doing if they didn't have to.
Right.
When we're like going on a trip, it's like it felt like we would be doing that anyway, even if we weren't on Kink and it was getting paid for it, blah blah blah. It was just so much fun, and you know, it was just, everyone was able to be homies,
right?
And I couldn't imagine not having a squad like that.
Yeah, it would suck. It would suck if you had to take trips with a bunch of kooks, even if you were like clocking a lot of great footage. Like,
just, you know, not staying in touch in between trips, and just having this kind of like businessy relationship.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
I just never I never saw it that way, because I wanted to travel with my friends, and like those friends had to be pro riders for me to use this budget to do it with. So
that's great though.
Yeah, just that vibe I think was super important, that like everyone's down.
Right.
You know, it doesn't look good when you can tell through footage that these guys aren't homies.
Right.
Like, it just takes away from the feel, I think.
Oh yeah, fully. And that's so much of what drives our industry, is like the feel of everything.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're marketing your brand and the stuff that your brand puts out, and the best way I think to do that is to, you know, have a squad that looks like they're enjoying the products with each other and having fun, and, you know, vibing and enjoying life on a bike and doing whatever they do, whether it's traveling or going to contests or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think it's just good to portray your vibe, and I think it's safe for us to say that we want to, you know, having fun riding with the homies is something we want to promote all the time.
Huh. Now, being that you have a lot of freedom in your job, you've lived in a lot of different places.
Yes.
You left, well, you still spend a lot of time out in Rochester, but you lived in California for a while.
Yeah.
You lived in Austin, Texas for a while. And you're currently living in Barcelona?
I'm currently living in Barcelona, Spain, yes.
That's like your actual residence?
It's my residence. I've been there for 3.5, 4 years now or so.
Damn, it's been that long.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I have a non-lucrative residency visa, which means I'm allowed to live there. I have a bank account, health insurance, everything. But I'm not allowed to like take anyone's job there, like in Spain.
Okay.
So that's like how I was able to get this visa so easily is that I have an American work contract with Kink. They say, okay, as long as you have an American work contract, you can live here and spend your American dollars here. We're fine with that.
Okay.
So it was like this weird visa that like exists in certain countries in the EU, in Europe, and Spain was one of them. And I just did a little research and ended up like pursuing it, and it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
It sounds a lot easier than I would assume.
It's not like coming to the States, obviously.
Well, right. I mean, you hear horror stories about people that want to come from Europe or even Canada to move to the States. I mean,
yeah, it's totally different. It cost me a couple $100 and a couple months worth of paperwork, but besides that, I've renewed it twice already, and it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, and you're living in a BMX hotbed, so there's people probably coming through all the time.
Yeah, Barcelona's a big BMX hotbed, obviously, and all the places that I lived up until that are. So I actually was lucky enough. In 2010, my boss at the time was like, hey, you can take this job and what you're doing remotely. Like, I was gone so much that I wasn't able to like keep up on the office work that had to be done, the office aspect of my job. I was doing like international sales and just some random stuff. So he gave me this opportunity to be like, I think it'd be cool if you went to California, if you were here, wherever. And obviously I immediately put together like the Kink House Long Beach idea. Yeah. Me and Daryl headed out to Long Beach, California, found a spot for us. And yeah, I made the move to Long Beach because at the time it was, and it still is, obviously SoCal is one of those places for BMX and all that. But Long Beach was super cool. There was a lot going on at the time. The ride guys were there. The come up guys were there, and the come up was popping off. And it was just a cool place to be. In the mix of a lot of things, seeing a lot of riders, seeing a lot of things, seeing what's happening, whatever, it was fun. Kind of got over SoCal, but still really appreciated being in the shit. So Austin was obviously like a natural place to go. There's another BMX city that's pretty sick. Yeah. A couple of years there with the homies. A lot of the Kink team was living there for like a couple of years. Those are another really good couple of years. It was fun. And I was just looking for something new. I had a relationship end and needed like something new and fresh. And I was just basically traveling a lot in between Kink trips. I would just go on my own trips and basically just I nomaded it for maybe like a year or so until I got to Barcelona in August 2014.
Okay. Well, yeah, you said you've been there for about 3.5 years.
Yeah, well, so I arrived for the first time in August 2014, and I had basically like shunned it up to that point because I was like, oh, it's blown out, and all the things you hear about Barcelona. We like to travel new places, whatever. I ended up strolling through there by myself. It was like, this place the hype was real. And a year later, I had it worked out to like be able to stay there long term. And now here we are, I guess it's been 4 years. You
think it's going to continue? You think you're going to be there
I'm renewing my visa. I'm going back next week. I'm renewing my visa for another 2 years. And then after that, I don't have to do anything but wait out of another 5 years, and I can apply for that citizenship if I want.
I think that's something that you'd like to do.
I don't know. I would never could have told you I'd be living there a couple of years ago, so I can't say that I will or won't be there. Honestly, I don't know. I'm like thinking about it every day. What's the next step? Is it here still, or like I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. I wish I do.
But that's true J-Row style, though. Just kind of, I don't want to say flying by the seat of your pants, because it sounds like you've always known what you wanted, but...
I always knew that I wanted this, and I got this relatively early and like I've been trying to like, okay, you need to take advantage of this now for as long as possible. So I was like, go to LA. I was like, okay, well now go to Austin. It's like, well, okay, what do I do now? I was like, all right, well, go out there. Like that's really taking advantage of this. And I guess that's kind of like a driving motivation still, is like you still have this opportunity to craft your lifestyle the exact way that you want to. And I guess that's what just keeps me thinking, like, what's next? Like, what would someone be so stoked to do, but there's no way they could do it? It's like, I could kind of do it.
Yeah.
I don't make a lot of money or whatever, but for one reason or another, I could make it happen. Yeah. Like, I have the mentality, like, it's not like fly by the seat of your pants, but if you want to live in Europe and you make no money or it's hard, like, you could do it. Or if you want to move to LA and live in a house with 14 of your homies for 6 months, that can be done.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fun though, but.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, maybe we should end it with this. Like in that, with BMX, I mean, it kind of teaches you that anything's possible. Like you can do all these things you can travel on a limited budget. You can go to these places. You can do these things. Like people, like if you talk to like quote unquote normal people, they're like, no, that's not possible.
That's the thing. People, when they talk about vacation, I'd love to go there.
Right.
It's like, just go.
Yeah.
Book it. You can take, I know how much vacation days you have. You get 7 days for every 8 to 10 months that you've worked there. So I know you have 11 fucking measly days off for your year. It's like, you can get there. It's possible for you to experience that. And then next time, maybe you stay longer and longer. And then maybe next year, you're like, I'm going to work at this coffee shop here instead of whatever. Right. You never know.
Right. It's just a matter
maybe
of like,
you meet your husband or you meet, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, people just think it's not possible to do stuff that's not normal.
right.
But, and for me, bike riding made that like everything possible. Like, it was possible for us to drive to Louisville from Rochester to ride a concrete skate park and then turn around and drive home. Like, that was possible. To anyone else, including my parents, that was like, what? That's not even a thing.
That's crazy.
That's absolutely insane
Yeah.
to do that, And still, now we're like, oh, we're just going to fly over here for a couple of days, and then I'm going to drive the van back over here. And everyone's like, how? What?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, sit in the van for 25 hours, but you
can make it work.
It's doable, yeah. If it's fun, it's fun. Yeah. But, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's fly by the seat, but it's like, just keep it fun. Just appreciate it. Yeah. I don't know if I'm like giving out like shitty life advice now.
No, because here we are. I mean,
here we are. Yeah.
In Florida.
We're here in Florida. Reluctantly, but we're here. We're down for the cause.
Yeah, man. We're doing it. Maybe we should end it with that. I like that. I think that's a good ending point, unless there's something else you want to touch on.
No, just travel and ride bikes with the dudes.
Travel and ride bikes with the dudes.
Bike riding opened up like the entire, like everything for me. It was the biggest education, all that same story. It was like, for me, the education of traveling and riding at the same time is like something that it can't even be explained to someone that doesn't have their own interest in something like that.
Yeah.
Just super lucky. Again, I'm just so lucky to be, I rag on it all the time, obviously, but like so lucky to be from Rochester, New York, and for kink and BMX in general. Like, I couldn't even, I don't know.
So, I mean, you were opportunistic, and it gave you these.
I'd be like a has-been hockey player, like ripping heroin with the homies in Penfield. This is bad. No,
Yeah,
I had better parents than that. I was grown.
Yeah,
I had a good childhood.
I met your parents, and they're great people.
They're great people.
Yeah,
very supportive. My dad's badass motocross racer. Mom's super chill. Yeah, it's a good squad.
Great people. Yeah.
But travel or ride bikes with the homies.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's
Follow
perfect.
Kink BMX.
And then what?
Follow Kink.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got to plug your sponsors.
My sponsors. I still wish I could be a pro bike rider. I ride still. Like, I'm a kid still trying to learn tricks, but
yeah,
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Who's better at manual to 180s, me or you?
Me.
Then why have I beaten you at just about every manual 180 competition we have?
My problem is inconsistency.
Yeah, and I think you get nervous.
I get nervous riding in front of people, big time.
Okay, yeah.
big time.
You got to handle that pressure.
This is a story I'd like to tell quick.
Please.
I don't know if I told you this or not. I rode this contest over the summer in Latvia.
Oh, yeah.
I rode summer cymbal session. It was very nerve-wracking. It was a very weird experience to put myself through, but it was fun in the end. And at the end, you came up to me at the end of the thing, gave me a little hug, and you said, Jay, I'm proud of you. And I was like, respect.
All right.
I was like, Doyle's proud of me. That's dope.
I was really proud.
But obviously you probably said that to me like 1,000 times, but for that I was like, it sounded like sincere.
No, it was very sincere because you were apprehensive to ride the contest. You were like, well, I don't know if I have anything to offer. Like,
don't want to get last place.
I'm the only. You beat Dan, didn't you?
No, that was the goal.
Okay.
Normally I would have beat Dan, but he was on it. He rode really well. Normally he folds.
Strong first run.
I folded this time around.
He folded a nice.
But I did not get last place. I folded a nice table.
Yeah. You're the only one hitting the hip in the street contest.
Only one hitting the hip in the street contest. Only won 2 pegs probably. But it was fun. It's a good experience. But you told me you were proud of me, and I was like, thanks, bro.
Still am proud of you. Okay. Thanks again for being a part of the podcast. Putting your story out there.
Hey, thanks for the nice little conversation.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, bro.